Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I'm going to stay out here the absolute minimum amount of time I can possibly do, and the reason will be the clip that's tagged on the end of the Everything in Bloom on the 8th video. I'll give you a clue why. That's why. How did that get like that? You'll see at the end of the video. And I don't want to be out here for any longer than is necessary. So Everything in Bloom. First of all, we look here and we see little dots all over our blooms. Now that could be one of two things. Could have been bugs, but might not have been. Anyway, we'll start with Masdevallia Inca Prince, which is looking good. Blooms on this actually last quite a long time. I'm quite impressed. They actually do quite well. Once they open up in full and separate their tails, they look good. They're the classic Masdevallia shape that I like, which you know, is the separate tails rather than crossing over tails, although they do cross over as they age. See if I can catch the purple sheen. So that's bloom number one. Down here, my little mounted Phalaenopsis is, this is an extension to an original spike. It's extended and it's blooming again. These are very attractive blooms. They're not large, it's quite a small Phalaenopsis, but the blooms are nice, and it's unfortunately going to have to come out of here this winter because it will just be too cold for it. It has always been in the grow room, this one. It's the one Phalaenopsis that seems to still do okay in the grow room through the winter, but I don't want to push my luck. I'm going down to lower temperatures this year. So, and then the other Masdevallia that's got blooms on and some very tatty looking leaves. This is just a hybrid, and when I got this, I got it for the colours. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this. I'm all squashed up in the corner here. I'm going to try and get that focus point, which apparently tracks. Yes, it does. So even though I'm moving the bloom, the camera's tracking on the bloom. So hopefully that's in focus, because it's quite a small bloom, certainly compared with Inca Prince, but it's attractive. You've effectively got three colours. You've got a sort of yellow stripe down the centre and at the bottom. You've got the purple sheen on the orange, and the orange has got stripes. So yeah, it's attractive. No name on that as far as I know. And then my Epidendrum Comet Valley Orange Star, that's a whole new set of buds. Basically the original buds, because the way this grows is it pushes the buds up through the centre there, and it just keeps going and keeps going until it runs out of steam, and then the last buds open. Well, it had already done that and the blooms were starting to die off, and it produced another cluster of buds out the top. So it's an extension of the blooming period for it, which is good, because I mean that's a lovely splash of colour. That is very attractive, those are. And then down the bottom here, if there is any fragrance on this, it's been lost. You'll find out in a minute. Yes, the Miltoniopsis Hybrid is still looking good. I hope it doesn't do what Inca's did, which was bloom itself to death. I don't think it will. This is actually quite a strong, healthy plant, this one. And the blooms are very attractive, and I've never had a Miltoniopsis do this before, just a succession of spikes. I've never had a Miltoniopsis with this amount of blooms on it. Even though each spike has only got one or two blooms, it's had loads of spikes. I mean, I think I've already cut 3 spikes off. So it's done incredibly well, that one. And this Miltoniopsis will be opening up in the not too distant future, but those buds have got a bit of growing to do yet because they are quite large blooms. So I'm all squashed up in the corner here because I had to pull the rack out to get in there, and now I need to push it back in where it came from. There we go. And then in this whole section here and here, there's nothing. Nothing at all. The Zygopetalum Hybrid, it's not going to be with us too much longer. You know, that's these open sequentially, so the first one that opens is the first one to die back, which will be this one. So that spike's sort of starting to go, and that leaves us with two spikes to go. These haven't long been open, so they'll be with us a little bit longer. But again, that's done incredibly well. You know, the number of spikes for such a tatty looking object of a plant, you know, it's bloomed incredibly well. I would suggest that once it's finished blooming, it needs to do some serious growing now and get a bit more leaf cover on it, because it's dropped quite a few leaves, so hopefully it'll produce some new ones. That'll be good. Oh, my eyes are watering in here. I need to get out soon. And then over here, the Friedrichsianum. Many blooms have already dropped, but it's still got plenty of blooms to see. They do hang down, unfortunately. I don't know whether I can get this to be a bit more upright. I don't think I can. So I'm just trying to find one that I can sort of focus on so that you can get a good look. When the blooms first open, the centre of the lip is a green colour, but then it fades to just a deeper yellow than the rest of the lip. But what I like about this one is the frilliness. Well, it's not frilly, it's wavy. Yeah, it's a wavy outline to it with the two other petals and curly sepals. So that's not going to be in bloom too much longer now. Yeah, so I was just seeing if that was bugs, but it shouldn't be. And then up here is Comet King, nobly typed Dendrobium. Nice big blooms. So this one took an awful long time to get to grow. It arrived as a kiki. This goes back to when Rachel bought the holy clay pots for me in a garden centre in Ireland and organised a courier and everything to get them across to me and put a kiki of Comet King in the box. So that's where this originated from. And I mean, it's growing fine now. You know, the new canes are a good size and everything. It's bloomed for the last couple of seasons, so it's coming on quite nicely now. It's not going to have too many leaves left. It could do with starting a new growth, which it will probably kick off as soon as these blooms drop from the base in this area, probably. So that's that one. And then, arching my back over, we've still got some blooms on the Victoria Regina. I was just going to say there's a -1. I need to get that out of the way because it spoils the look. And they're looking good. I mean, it took me a long time to actually get this colour in this grow room. I always wanted one of these, and I had several failed attempts. I had one that arrived dead, then I had one that took over a year to bloom, and then it turned out to be pink. It was a hybrid. And eventually I got one from a proper source at Burnham's off of one of their specimen plants that they split up, so it guaranteed to be the right thing. Paid a bit for it, but I didn't care. You know, so many failures. I just wanted to definitely know that the one I'd got was the good one, was a good one. And it is. It seems to bloom on and off reasonably regularly. And then this down here has got a label called that, and it isn't. If it was, it would be absolutely stunning, but it isn't. It's incorrectly labelled, which is annoying. In fact, I'm going to take that out now because I'm fed up with it. But these are going now. They're not, you know, they're on their way out. So the colours are starting to fade, and you've got the slight browning around the edges. But as these age, the colour in the lip gets deeper and deeper. I mean, it's bordering on orange now, whereas it starts off yellow. So that's good. As I said, it's not what it says it is. If it was, it would be shades of oranges and yellows and quite stunning, which is why I got it. It was one of Jeff's plants, that was. And then we've still got these. No, I think that's classed as gone. I'm going to take those blooms off because they're not right, they're distorted. And this is, as a consequence, this plant is on borrowed time. But I think the shock of losing its roots, changing the environments and everything, could be the reasons why those blooms didn't come out right. Two strong new growths here. When they get round to blooming, the blooms need to be right, or the plant will have to go. Because these are quite badly distorted, but they're nice colour. Yeah. And then I think I can safely say, last but not least, yes I can, is this one. This has got a strange little trait of the top sepal curls back over itself, because obviously that would be nice, wouldn't it? Rather than that. And the blooms just seem to come out at all angles. I mean, and this one's facing the other way up the cane, but this trait is quite uniform. This bloom's done it, and even though this one's sideways on, that one's done it, that one's done it, looking at it from the back. Yeah, so it just seems to be the way it is, and this is the only one that hasn't done it, and that's because it can't, because there's something in the way. But nice attractive colours on this one. Colour changer. The lip is quite creamy coloured with just a tinge of pink, and then literally after a few days the whole lip goes pink, apart from that very, very bottom edge which stays a deep cream on the wavy bit. So and then they're nice large blooms. So and I know what's going to happen when these blooms start to fade. These red blobs will colour run. As though it was like a watercolour painting that's got some water on it again, like, and the colours start to run. And they look quite impressive when they do that. You know, unfortunately, it's the last thing that will happen to it before it actually keels over. But yes, the clip that follows, the dirty deed was done, and results are in various places around the floor, and yeah, so basically I'm pleased that the deed's been done, and hopefully it'll do the job everywhere. So hopefully the few mealy bugs that were starting to get about have gone, and everything else with it. So that was everything in bloom on the 8th, and now for something completely different, tagged on the end. See you next time. Well, I thought I'd better film it. Somebody's bound to ask. I changed my mind. Although these smoke bombs, it says they're best left overnight, I decided that overnight's not so good, because if there was any leakage from these doors coming into the house, I wouldn't know. And you know, the cats could be in here or anything. I decided I wanted to be there. I wanted to actually see what was going on. So after the cats had had their breakfast and done their trips outside and everything like that, they tend to settle down for the largest part of the morning, and they just sleep, and they're upstairs. So I thought, I'm going to do it now. So I fired them off at 5:30 this morning. Within 5 minutes of them going off, you couldn't see across the room. It was really, really thick. It's eased off a bit now, but it's still very, very foggy in there. And the doors seem to be holding, but I pulled the curtains across, so if there is any tiny amount of leakage, and it would be tiny, because I'd see it otherwise, then it's going to hold it here by the doors and not let it into the room. I've opened the window in the lounge wide so that there's a constant flow of fresh air in here, just in case. I mean, I think I'm okay. And then it says a minimum of 2 hours, which will be up soon, but I'm going to leave it longer. I'm going to leave it basically as long as I can. probably like 9:30 or something. But I do need to get out. I do need to get out there to water at some point. But I'll have to go out the front door, round the side, and come round to here, and open the window and the door. That will be my initial ventilation, and then after after the mist has cleared and I really can't see any anymore, then I'll open the door here, get the extension lead plugged back in and switch the fans on, and then close the door round as best I can. So the problem is there is no power out there. It has to come from in here, therefore the door has to be open slightly. I suppose I could run an extension lead from the kitchen out of the window. I'll have a think about it. That would be a possibility. I have to clear the orchids off the kitchen windowsill and run the lead out the window and then into here to get the fans on. But I need the fans on. I need those circulating fans to clean this air right out. The good news is, you probably can't see it, but in that corner, if you follow the first pair of I don't know what you call them, support rails, they form a V, and at the top of that V is a dead spider, a big one. I like that, so it's done its job. And hopefully it's got all the little ones as well, because that's the thing, so it's the long-term effect of the little ones getting in amongst the plants that I'm more worried about. So hopefully it's done its job. And it should have got the mealybugs easily. I mean, they die pretty easy anyway, and it may well have decked a lot of the scale as well. So, these are not cheap, because these are professional ones. These are like, under normal circumstances, they're trade, not normal retail, but they seem to do the job, which is good. I bought 4, I've used 2, so I've got another 2 to go. And I will use the other 2 probably in about a fortnight's time, and that won't be for the spiders because there shouldn't be any, but again there could be eggs lying around. But as far as I can see at the moment, there's only one big one. I mean, I have actually trod on a couple that I've sort of whacked down from the roof, so maybe there's no breeding going on now. The spiderlings are far too small, so hopefully that's done those. And as I said, if it's working on the mealybugs, the few that there are, there's not a lot, but I have got some now. And the scale we've talked about forever. If it's done a good job on those as well, then doing it again in a fortnight would be well worth it. Well worth it. So anyway, this clip I will tag on the end of everything in bloom, which I can't film until I can safely get out there, which is probably going to be this afternoon. I need it properly vented with the fans running at least an hour and the door and the window open. So that was the other thing. By the time I'm able to do that, the temperature outside will be reasonable. So having the door and the window open is not too much of a big deal, whereas it would have been first thing in the morning. So that was another reason for, to vent this place and get that airflow through. I don't want freezing cold air coming in on the orchids. So anyway, it's done now. And as I said earlier on, you couldn't see across the room. It was absolutely thick fog. So thinning out a bit now. It's gone into every corner and every crevice. So and at its strongest, when they first fired, it all went straight up into the roof area, which is, if there are any of the big spiders tucked away, that's where they are. So they'd have been got first. That would have been the first job, effectively. And then it sort of floats down until it fills the whole place. It took about 10-15 minutes before it had completely filled the room. So anyway, let's hope it's done its job. And yeah, I'll see you next time.